Welcome, my name is Charise Rogosky, and you're tuning into Your Inner Wisdom in Fluid Form, where we talk about aspects of craniosacral therapy. And Don Ash, I have here with me today, joined me the last time, and he's gracious enough to come back, and we're going to do some more segments with Don. So welcome again, Don.
Thank you, Charise.
And you covered a lot of material last time on what craniosacral therapy is and the craniosacral therapy system. And you talked a little bit about, I think I heard you mention the rhythm. And also, a thing I'd like to discuss is movement of the bones of the head, that the bones of the head actually move. And that sounds like a pretty controversial topic, that not everybody would agree with you on that.
Sounds like it's right off the wall. Yeah. In PT school, I learned that after the age of 26, they don't move. Mm-hmm. And throughout a lot of modern medicine, it's thought that the bones don't move. Mm-hmm. And so in order for us to understand the elements of craniosacral therapy is based on the movement, the innate movement of the body. Mm-hmm. There's a widening of the head and a narrowing. There's a lengthening of the dural tube mm-hmm. and a shortening. And so if there isn't a real good mechanism for motion, how can that be? Are we just kind of inventing some kind of movement in the body? Mm-hmm. And what all the teachers of my experience have taught throughout the ages, this goes back not 100, not 200, but nearly 300 years. Mm-hmm. The origins of this craniosacral movement goes back that long, and I can't wait to tell you about that. But what I did in my teaching experience is I taught cadaver dissection, and I taught anatomy with unpreserved cadavers. Mm-hmm. And so I had firsthand experience in the motion of the movement of the dural tube and of the bones of the skull. Mm-hmm. And so I'd like to share with you now a little bit about that, because it's important and it's basic, mm-hmm. and among any other topic, I want to explain to you, and I hope that you, as one of the fine teachers we have, the CSDA, and one of the early certified practitioners, and as you go out in your teaching trails, I want you to be able to say with clarity and confidence that the bones move. And for that, we need some proof. Mm-hmm. Part of my history was I was a director of physical therapy in a small local hospital in Rochester, New Hampshire. And as a physical therapist, I had a whirlpool room and treatment tables, and I was the whole, with the brass name tag and all the elements of exercise and electric stimulation and all those things. Right. And in the whirlpool room, we had a great big metal locker, and we had a full, real skeleton. And it had some wear to it over the years, and it had to be plastered where the bones had actually been arthritic. The ankles were very, very porous, and they had to be pieced together. Mm-hmm. And they renovated my whole office, and they said, "Don, throw it away. We're going to buy you a new plastic one." Well, I couldn't. In my heart, I couldn't get rid of this beautiful.
You're going to get rid of an actual
human
skull.
Human body.
Skeleton, yeah.
So I was into craniosacral at that time. I was studying the dynamics of craniosacral movement. And so what I did is I took the whole body of this skeleton and I gave it to radiology. And they were teaching their techs how to take various angles and pictures of bone. Mm-hmm. And they had used plastic bones up until now. Well, they were enamored to get a real body, mm-hmm. and that was mm-hmm. just great. Mm-hmm. And so I took the skull, because mm-hmm. that was my love, uh-huh. you know. And I was taking it home one night, and I mentioned the whirlpool room for a reason. Okay. There's a big, beautiful ceramic hard floor, mm-hmm. and I was carrying the skull.
And there it is.
Yes, and I was carrying this beautiful skull, and I dropped it. And I broke it, and I said, "Oh my gosh, mm-hmm. how could I do that?" And then as I looked, I said to myself, "Wait a minute, I'll try to put the pieces back." Mm-hmm. And so as I did, I had taken this whole specimen to the radiology department, and I have a friend, a radiologist at the time, and I said, "Can you tell me about how old this skeleton was?" And he said, "It looks to be about 6 decades." So this person died in the 60th decade, 60 or beyond. And when I tried to put the pieces back, if you can focus, I think because of the thinness of the bone, I think it was female. And when I tried to put the pieces back, I put them exactly where they're to go. But if you look, there's this motion, there's these score marks.
Yeah.
There's these score marks on the bone, where this was obviously a vital, moving joint. The temporal parietal suture was moving in this fashion. And when I put the other piece back, this is the posterior aspect of the temporal bone. These are score marks,
There's wear in the bone themselves.
like worn pottery.
Right.
So I want to tell the whole story because I think there's a lot to be said with this beautiful example that just fell into my hands. I thought surely here is range of motion. Here is movement of the sutures. But I knew that these sutures are not supposed to move this much. This is wow, a quarter of an inch. That's extraordinary. And so I looked at the other part. Oh, certainly. Let's look at this at the parietal sutures or the coronal sutures, lambdoidal sutures. And so I looked at the crown of the skull, and I noticed, wait a minute. This is the frontal bone. These are the parietal bones. And let's look at the inside. Wait a minute. What's going on here? There's no motion. And so I think if anatomists look at skulls and they look at the inside of the vault or the crown of the skull on certain specimens, they'll find no motion. And they'll say, there's no motion. Well, that's not the whole story. That's a part of the story. And so I know in historically speaking, when they started to do a beautiful cadaver dissection, in Europe, it started, and there was an anatomist and teacher called Sperino, and another one called Gray. And they did their dissection, made their observations, and Sperino went to Europe, and Gray went back to England and the United States. Gray said, the sutures don't move. Sperino said, the sutures move. And so we have this dichotomy. So then I go to Sutherland, who I'll talk about and the founders of the work. And Sutherland said, in the 6th decade or above, the cranial rhythm diminishes in vitality, in motion, in fluidity, in circulation, by as much as 50%. Well, I thought, that's not good. But when you think about a normal aging process, we're here for a short time. And our bodies, there's a complete cycle of life. Our bodies are born, we evolve, we develop, we grow, we come to mature state, we come to our zenith as a human being. And then the circle completes. And we start to age, and we start to lose function. We lose our vital capacity in our lungs. We lose our strength in our arms and our legs. We lose our control of balance. Sometimes bowel and bladder even. Our eyes get weaker, our hearing loss, our teeth start to fall out, our memory goes. There's a normal aging process. And so I think this beautiful skull that I found that was serendipitously planted in my lap and jumped out of my arms and landed on the floor so I could learn, tells me that I need to tell this story. And so the People's Chronicle allows me this opportunity to tell this story. And this is what I want to say, because I don't blame doctors for saying there's no motion in the skull, because if they look at just this, they're not going to find motion.
And you said the founders of this work also had some things to say about that.
Oh, I can't wait.
Okay. Can we talk about that next time?
We can indeed.
Okay, terrific. Don's going to join us for our next episode on your inner wisdom in fluid form. Thanks so much for listening. Check in again for more episodes on your inner wisdom in fluid form. Thanks for listening.